Hello, lovely people. Where the hell have you been? It's been weeks since we last spoke. How are you? How are you doing? How's your chess? I would like you to tell me. I will tell you how my chess is going. It's going terribly, but only in actual output of good chess games, output of videos. Other than that, I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing lots of training and improving at calculation. Usually most of the time I'm spending doing puzzles as part of the chess dojo, and also doing some puzzles that I got a new coach, and I've been working on some work that he has been setting me. So today I'm going to play a 15 plus 10 game, and let's see if I can get myself out of the 1500s. So we're playing Bryant, 1600 player, and they play G3. I don't know how to play against G3. I think I'm just going to expand in the center, probably bishop to G2, and then I can just push my pawns. Nope. Okay. That was an odd move. These are odd starting moves. I don't think I've ever seen these two moves to begin with. I think I'm just going to... I can't just push the pawn straight away, but I would like to push the pawn. If they're not going to push their center pawns, I'm going to push my center pawns. Even if they move the knight, this isn't attacked. Well, it's defended, so even if it is attacked, that's okay. Okay, so they're keen to play very passively, or they're not playing in the center, basically. Maybe they want this next. That's quite likely. So the bishop can develop with tempo now. It's not a massive tempo because I can also develop to defend the queen. And that's sort of a tempo move because they need to do something with this bishop at that point. So I'm not scared of that bishop move. What if they go here next? That would be a little bit annoying because I could take that, of course. No, it wouldn't be annoying. So if they go there, I can just take, because if they take back, then they're not going to castle. So that's not a scary prospect for me. I don't really know where I want the bishops. I think probably this bishop here at some point, because I'm imagining they're going to castle short. I'm definitely not sure where I want to put this one. So I think probably a knight move to kick things off. I don't see any reason not to just put it straight on F6. Pinning the knight, but that's not a problem because they're not going to be able to take advantage of that pin anytime soon. So I'm thinking of either breaking the pin or just putting the bishop on C5, which is where I wanted it in the first place. I could also ask the bishop a question and say, you can't go here because you get trapped. So what does it do? Go here? Yeah, I like that move because if they go to D2 with the bishop, this queen has no developing moves. It takes away one of the squares from the knight. The knight probably doesn't want to go there. The knight probably wants to come to C3, but it does block in the queen. And if you go here, well, I can just always push it, but also it's just a bad square for the bishop because now this pawn can't move. Okay. For some reason, I forgot that the bishop could just trade itself for the knight. I'm quite happy to see that. And I will take back with the queen. The only question I had was whether it's worth taking with the pawn, because I could then pile up here, but this is quite a strong setup. I suppose it's not that strong, but with this knight here, this pawn isn't particularly scary for white to deal with. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Maybe it is actually with the pawn here. This pawn could also do that walk. That's probably worth looking at after the game. Okay, so I've got the bishop pair. How do I make use of that? Well, I'm a little bit further back in development. I haven't castled. I'm not even one move away from castling, so I probably should get on with doing that. But then try and make sure that the center doesn't get locked up. So how could the center get locked up? Potentially this and this. Well, I wouldn't do that, obviously. So this and this and this. Yeah, it's difficult for white to lock up the center because I've got this pawn duo, and I think it makes it quite difficult for white to keep it closed. This is a weak pawn. Do I want to castle queenside or kingside? Don't really know how to make that decision. Obviously, if I castle queenside, I can use these pawns as battering rams and just break open this. This is a nice weak, or it's like a nice hook. I suppose I could castle kingside and still do that same thing. This pawn is weak, so any knight move, I need to just be careful that they don't move the knight and then attack this pawn. Thinking of developing this bishop here to defend that pawn, which gets my pieces off the back rank. Potentially this bishop here, because that square looks fun to attack. I know I sort of discounted that idea earlier, but with a knight and a rook on it, and maybe even a pawn supporting, that could work. I am down on time. Let's just develop this bishop, secure the center. Okay, so I'm going to start playing a little bit faster. I still have to develop. That is still a weak pawn. Now it's been attacked once and defended once, but again, this knight move could cause me trouble. I think I'm just going to castle queenside. This gives me another defender of that pawn in one move and gets my king off the center, or out of the center. And then yeah, I am going to use these pawns. That doesn't look right, but obviously if I take it, it opens up a line to my king. So they're just shedding a pawn and saying, I don't care. I don't care about that pawn. In fact, I don't want it. I don't want that pawn. But I can take with the bishop, not the knight, and attack this knight in one move. I think they should care about that pawn. Okay, so they've moved the knight to b5, and I think it can be trapped. I don't think that's a good move. I don't think they've... Oh, no, it can be supported. No, it can't. I'm back and forth. So I can just push this pawn, attack the knight. So I push the pawn, attack the knight. They try and defend it, and I can just take it because it's a pawn, obviously. If I push the pawn and they attack my bishop, from that side I can just do this. This is still covered by my bishop. I don't see a follow-up. If I push and they attack my bishop that way, the good thing is every time they push a pawn, they take away an escape square. So that side, they took away the escape square, and this side I can just do this, surely. And then they still can't come here because the bishop covers it. Now they can't come here because the knight, their own pawn, is on that square. I think, and the bishop is covered. So if they decide to come over now, that's fine. I'll just take the knight. Okay, so they do push this pawn, and my idea is to put the bishop on a5. I think that's still going to work. It's still defended by a knight. Even if it wasn't, it's not a problem because there's no way to get to it. Can't attack it diagonally with the queen because obviously it's a bishop. It can attack you back. And you can't attack it with a pawn because we already sacrificed that pawn, didn't we, white? Come on, white. That wasn't a good pawn sacrifice, was it? Let's hope it's not. Okay, so I'm just checking because I could take the knight now, but then they'd replace the knight with a pawn and I'd have to move my knight and then they'd push and I would be cramped. What I think I can do is just take this pawn because it's pinned, their d pawn is pinned to the queen, so they can't take back. And the knight still can't escape. But that's what I'm checking. I'm like, I've done this before where I'm like, I get a bit cocky, like, oh, I don't even have to take the knight. I can just sit back and enjoy the experience of taking the knight whenever I want to. It's still trapped. And then they've done something. This move does something that I haven't noticed. So rather than talking to you, I'm going to quickly check. It does open up the queen's eyes to the a4 square, but again, this knight is doing a great job. So I think I can just take this pawn. So I'm down to 4 minutes and 19 seconds against 13 and a half minutes. But this is an example of where I've used my time. I'm down on time quite significantly, but they obviously have basically rushed. And so it looks like I've used my time well in this game. Often I'm down at this time against my opponents and I'm in an equal or even worse position. But in this case, I look like a genius. Amazing. Well done. You used your time well. They blundered. Okay, so they did move their queen to that square. And I mean, I still don't have to take the knight, I don't think. Does that do anything? Does that support? It doesn't support this square, so they still can't move their knight there. And I suppose if they take this now, no, it's just, I don't think that does anything. The queen move. I think it looks good, and maybe it's just generally like closer to my stuff, but it's not. I think I can still take this pawn. I will kick myself if they somehow escape this knight. I will kick myself if I don't take it. So I am just looking to see if I take it and they take back, then I can then take their pawn. So maybe I should just do that, because they can always just take this pawn, and they get a pawn out of this whole exchange anyway. So if I go here, for example, and they do this, I have to take it, because otherwise they can just get a bishop out of it and they don't lose the knight. So if I go here, there, I may as well just take whilst I can. And in that moment, they can't take this pawn anyway because their queen is attacked. So I'm going to take it. Now, I have opened up a big juicy line to my king, so I need to be aware of that. Although their queen will probably just take here and jump off that line. And it's not easy for them to get rid of this pawn, because I'm not going to be pushing this pawn anytime soon, I don't think. So now I probably take. This protects this, this protects this, this protects this. Excellent. This is attacked twice, but defended twice. So if they try and do that, it doesn't work. Although, if they do that... I probably should just get this bishop in a safer position, because if I just take, they can take. They can take. And if I take back... No, that's fine, that's fine. I was going to say they could do this, but they can't. Oh no, they can. Ah, look at this. So, 1 minute 35. This. If I just take the queen, then I've lost a knight. And if take, then they can just take the bishop. Although at that point they've just sacrificed a knight. It's very scary though. It's very scary. I think. No, I'm not that scared. I'm not that scared. But don't take with the queen. Important. Important not to take the queen. If they take... I don't even think they'll take this pawn. But if they do, I'm going to take back with the knight. And then takes... And then... Takes? Probably? Or even just push, actually. Even just push. Because I know it doesn't get a pawn, but I think if I just take, then they're likely to round up that pawn pretty easy. I can't really defend it well, like particularly easily. Can I? Oh, that knight's not there though, so I could come in here. No. Okay. Just a bit of defense then. So I think I need to just move this bishop. And this isn't scary because I can take it if it gets to here. Okay, I'm down to 59 seconds. It's obvious, isn't it? Just move the bishop in front of the pawn. Everything's nice and safe. This is no longer a thing, even at all, because the knight can now take it. I guess this? No. I was thinking, If they take it, I can take with the rook. And the queen takes. And then the pawn pushes, but it's not defended. This pawn isn't defended here. So I can't do that. It would be good, though, if I could do that. What are they going to do? I'm up a lot. I'm up a piece and 2 pawns. But they can get one of the pawns back. That's okay, though. A piece and a pawn, that's a winning position. I suppose if they do take it, I could attack that pawn. It would be then, attack the pawn. It's defended only once by a queen. And if they defend it, then I can do... no, okay. Maybe just attack the queen. Attack the queen. Prepare to double up and then do that idea so that when they come across... In fact, that queen is going to struggle to defend that pawn because here and here lends itself to a lovely discovered attack. I mean, it's not that lovely, is it? Because what am I going to attack with this rook whilst I'm attacking the queen with the bishop? And it's not that lovely. But I bet the queen doesn't want to go to those squares. So in what they're going to do instead? So I'm up a piece and a pawn, but actually I'm going to be up another pawn in a second, I think. Okay, if they do come here or here, I need to try and set up something. Oh, well, they can go there, but then I can move my knight, attacking the queen further. But it's a bit of a one move threat, isn't it? Because then it can just move around to a different square that's still defending that pawn. I think instead of moving this knight out of the lovely central position it's got, I think instead, if they move the queen here, I might even break the pin. No, I can't break the pin. I lose the rook. I was going to say go here, but then, no, I lose the rook. I could just push my queen forward a square, attack this for a second time. Things to notice in the position. This rook wants to get into the party, so let's bring that over at some point. Okay, they want to attack my rook. I'm not going to allow that. Or they can certainly attack it, but I'm going to bring it over so that if they did attack it, they'd be immediately attacked back. So they've got a very safe king. This is a lovely setup for them. But I've got a nice bishop eyeing up the f2 square. This is a particularly weak pawn. So's this, but this d pawn is weaker in that I've got more stuff on it. This pawn isn't particularly scary, but it's worth... Do I want to... I could do this. Oh no, I was going to say because I can threaten this, but the knight needs to be on that square to defend the bishop. I think I'm just going to play it. No, because I'll lose this pawn. I like this move because I can do that afterwards. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I think they have to escape. I think they have to get immediately out of this hole they're in because I'm going to trap the queen if they don't. And if they do get out, hallelujah, I can win that pawn straight away. Which actually meant when they put the queen there, I didn't have to react because I still had that. So say if I just took and they went here, I could have done that then. Although the trap wouldn't have been on, but I would have already won the pawn. So I don't need a trap if I've won the pawn. I need to be on the current move. I can't be, with 27 seconds, I can't be playing around looking at past moves. Okay, they've got 7 minutes and 14 seconds. I think they only have one move. I don't think they can do anything but this. They can't move to any of these squares because I can take the queen. I imagine they haven't seen it, the queen trap, if they're taking this amount of time. So I think their only chance is to just see it before they make the move. Like, okay, I'm thinking I'll move here. Oh, they disconnected. But they had low connection. They only had one bar, so I think they might just have a bad connection, generally. I think there should be a way on chess.com to abort the auto resign. So auto resign in 1 minute. Now this is a 15 plus 10 game, so if they lose connection for more than a minute, say their router's turned off or whatever, then they just lose the game. And I've seen that their connection is low while we're playing. Like they had 1 bar, I believe, for like most of the game. So it's likely that they just have some issue with their connection generally. They're not just aborting the game and just saying, I'm losing, I don't want to carry on playing. They probably want to carry on playing this position. This isn't, they're down a piece, but like they were down a piece before and they didn't just leave. That's a shame. Okay, so it's a shame that I won like that. It would have been nice to play the whole game. I will have a look at it and I will get back to you. Okay, so a pretty accurate game, but I think mainly because my opponent didn't play very well, so it was easier for me to be accurate. But there were still a couple of moments where I misunderstood the position a little bit, and I think it would be worth me noticing. So, pretty basic thinking here, just like expanding in the center and then challenging this bishop, and I win the bishop pair. And at this point, when they castle, there's a correspondence game that had this position, and the best move in this position is to push this pawn. And while I'm uncastled and actually sort of a little bit behind in development, if I push this pawn, when they take it and take back, and they put their knight here, let's say, then I can take this pawn, and they're forced to move their knight here, doing what I wanted to do in the game, which is blocking in the queen. So they go here, and then I can defend this pawn, which is now attacked twice. And this is just a little bit better for black than the position I find myself in. So the computer says this is like minus 1.8. I've won a pawn, and my center is just so much stronger than theirs. If black wants to challenge this center, then they're going to have to weaken their king to do so. And they've already pushed this pawn in front of their king, so they really don't want to push f3, I don't think, anyway. Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, in the correspondence game, black did go on to win this game. So I didn't push. I didn't see that move. I didn't see that this queen was unleashed onto this undefended pawn, and that this pawn would then be free to defend the pawn in the end. So I just didn't even see it as a candidate move. So it's not like I calculated it at all. So I just defend this pawn, and white gets on with their development. I castle. Now at this point, similarly, I also don't see that this queen is X-raying this undefended knight. So here I should not take either way, but in fact say, well, it doesn't matter if you push this pawn, because if I push first, I'm attacking this knight. So let's say if I go here, if they just went and pushed, then I'm going to take 2 pieces before they take. Their next take is not a piece, so I'm actually up significantly there. So they can't just go along and take. So if I push, then they need to do something, because what that does, this push attacks 2 knights. So if I push, they are forced to just take back with the knight, and then I win a knight. So I missed that. I missed the whole idea of double attack, just because I was too focused on this pawn and thinking I can't let it push forward, otherwise it's super strong and it's just made a lot of progress. And I was just thinking, oh, okay, they've made a mistake. I don't think they realised that their knight was hanging, because I was here thinking I can take, and then they're forced to do something with this knight because it's hanging. But I didn't realise I can attack that hanging knight in a different way, unleash the queen. So I should have done that. And I mean, it was a mistake. This is just a bad move from black. So I didn't. This take we're doing fine, but I should have played a better move. And then, so similarly, what happened? Push. Now here, similarly, I don't need to keep an eye on this square, which is what I was calculating in the game. So I can just go back here, probably somewhere like here, because if they go back, I've got the exact same idea. So I don't need to worry about keeping an eye on it playing this bishop move, which sort of puts my bishop a little bit offside. It's not terrible because eventually it was trained on the on this diagonal, but I played the right move here, taking, and then they come in with the queen, and I was seeing ghosts a little bit here, so I was thinking if I take now, then they can take, and if I take back, they can take. But this pawn is still attacking this knight, so I can just take this pawn, and if they take this bishop, then I'm up a piece again still, and they need to take back, otherwise this pawn is going. So I was a little bit seeing ghosts. I think I was too focused on, oh yeah, okay, they're going to take away the defender, sort of forgetting, not really just not doing the adding up correctly, like okay, but then I win the bishop at the end. So in this position I just took, which isn't a bad move again. And then here, I think a cool move is that I didn't see at all. Instead of just blocking, and it's probably not the right move for me to do in this position, I can actually take this pawn. Because if they take, then I can get out of the way. They can't bring them any rook over, or they can, but they'd lose a whole rook. So they're probably not going to bring a rook over. And this rook's attacked. And this is going to push. It's not going to push. They've got a lot of pieces on it, so it's not necessarily going to push straight away. But yeah, it's an interesting position. So I think they need to get out of the way, maybe here, and then I can start doing like this sort of idea. Like maybe I just go here, defending this lots of times, and anytime I want, anytime this rook leaves the back rank, I can pin the queen or skewer the queen to the rook, I think. And yeah, let's see what the engine says just on this position. One sec. So the engine is saying like give up the rook, or it's not quite. Okay, it's saying now do exactly what I said, but for a second it was saying just give up the rook and let the bishop take it. It's not giving up the rook. It's giving up the exchange. But if we put the rook here, okay, yeah, bishop, and then okay, so attack the bishop, but then surely I would have thought I can just take, yeah, and then they're going to take this. I see, okay. Basically taking away the defender of this square, so now white can just take back without losing their rook. Interesting that taking a free rook isn't, with an attack on the queen right now, isn't the best move. What a strange move. Why would you go here? Okay. Going too far into the weeds here. Let's turn the engine off. But yeah, I could have just taken here, but I defended or blocked the queen taking the pawn move. And then one last thing that I noticed, again, all just with engines, but in this position, I was thinking, okay, they have to do this. This is the only move to not lose their queen. But actually, this bishop comes into becomes very relevant. So the actual best move is one of these knight moves, just something with the knight. Attacking the rook, but more importantly, because the rook wants to move anyway. If I attack the queen now, this is a move. But before, when I was calculating it, there's two pieces in the way of this bishop. So I had no vision ability to see that this bishop could eventually be defending this pawn. So get out of the way, and then attack the queen, and the queen says, I'm not trapped. Which is, yeah, It's not amazing. It's like it's definitely doable to get into the position where I'm making these calculations, but I'm not making them at the moment, or at least I didn't make them. I didn't make it here. And I was just convinced I couldn't see anything, and I'm quite lazy. Like in those moments, like yeah, that's the only move. That's it. That's it. There's no resources for white. White's just trapped if they don't move the queen to this particular square. But no, there are ways out. There are always tricky. There are often tricky ways out. Okay, that's so I had 1 inaccuracy, 92%, 21 average centipawn loss, and my opponent had 3 inaccuracies, 1 blunder. And this was their first game on chess.com. They weren't at 1600. They were just given 1600 by chess.com. They immediately went down to 1418. Doesn't matter. It's not a problem. But I would have liked to play like a seasoned 1600 and beat them. But the game before I managed to beat 1746. So I can play chess. You can play chess. I can play chess. We can all play chess. All right. Chat to you soon. Have a lovely day. See you later.